Welcome back to the workshop. It's Tim for Tim Cross Electronics, and we're working on the Foxer again today. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter video. We're just focusing on strengthening the chassis in this video. I mentioned in the last video, I think toward the end of the last video, that this chassis was a little on the weak side. It's a thinner aluminum than I would have liked to use. So I've got a couple of brackets that I'm going to use. Actually on the ends here I've already installed the mounting tabs, and this is just aluminum, I don't know, what do you call it, aluminum angle brackets or whatever. You've seen it before though, every hardware store has it. And so I've riveted that in place and installed some threaded steel inserts. So that's going to give it a much sturdier foundation for bolting it into the chassis than trying to screw through the tabs that already existed on that chassis. And then on the top, where'd it go? On the top we're going to use this This is it's edge trim for 1/4-inch plywood. So nothing special. It's, again, something you can find pretty easily. But it's very stiff, very rigid stuff. So I think this is going to add a lot of strength to the chassis. Now, as it happens, the place that I'm going to mount it has had a clear path all the way across the chassis, just out of sheer dumb luck, and it just happened to be going right through all the spots where I was going to have to drill holes and mount screws for terminal strips. So it couldn't have worked out any better than that. I'll show you on the inside here. So on the first two tubes I've got terminal strips that I'm going to mount there, so I can put I'm going to have a shielded cable coming in here, and then from there it's going to go to, a resistor is going to go to the grids. So there's one there, and then I've also got one at each of the power tubes. And I already had this one, this longer one here, which is where all the transformer wires are going to connect. So all nice and lined up in a row, and I'm going to have to hold that in place there. So that's exactly where I need it to be. Now, the one challenge that I had with this was the placement of this output transformer. Obviously I wasn't planning on doing this when I laid everything out here. Otherwise I would have backed this off about 1/4 inch. So I had to grind out a little bit of a relief here to fit over the end of this tab. Not the most elegant thing, but it's not going to cause any issues. And in future builds, I can always just move this back a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and install all these screws and then show you when it's done. One other thing before I do that, by the way guys, I love your comments. I love it when people comment on my videos. It makes it feel like I'm actually, like I said in the last video, the reason that I do this is because I want to be able to share this with as many people as possible. So when I get comments from you, that makes my day. Anyway, someone commented about this brace and said that Fender had used this, and what they did was they put a bead of silicone on the underside to prevent vibration. That's a great idea. So I'm going to do that. I've got this tube of silicone. Probably just put a dab here and there. I don't think I need to run a bead along the whole length there, but that probably is, I would not have thought of that, and it's probably really an important detail to prevent vibration when that low end starts rumbling. Okay, so there it is with the brace installed. Probably could have made a little bit more relief in this where the tab is for the output transformer, but you can see there's a little bit of a gap there. Not bad though. And that'll definitely stiffen the chassis quite a bit. So, now that I'm done with that, let's start wiring Oh, and I'll show you the terminal strips that I installed here. So on both of these first two preamp tubes, we've got shielded wires coming in, and then grid resistors coming off of the terminal strips. Then for the two power tubes, that needs to be straightened a bit. Oh well, I'll work on that later. For the power tubes, we've got a grid wire. Since I can't do the grid wire, or the grid resistors, since I can't do the grid resistors like I normally would on a 6v6, because we're going to be using KT66s in here, and KT66s sometimes have a shield connection for the metal base on pin 1. Normally I would have the grid wire coming into pin 1 and then a resistor from there over to the grid. I can't do that here, so that's why I'm using the terminal strips. So one of these is going to have a grid resistor. The other one's going to have the screen resistor. So I got one for each power tube. And then this larger one here is what all the power transformer wires are going to connect to. So now that I'm done with that part, I can start wiring up the tube sockets and front panel connections. But that'll be for the next video. Well, I did say it was going to be a short video, and that was definitely shorter than usual. But that just means you don't have to wait as long before I can post this one. So next time we'll be doing, hopefully, nothing else comes up and I don't change my mind again. Otherwise, we'll be doing the tube sockets and front panel wiring on the next episode, next installment, next whatever you want to call it, next video. I'll see you there.